Hey, I wanted to share this learning experience that I had with my Marlin XT-22. I was out in the field shooting, plinking, and in between my bolt broke free here, and this is what I saw down the spring, and then the front of the bolt was still cut up here in the receiver. So kind of freaked out. I thought something had broken. This came all the way out the back, and what had happened is that bolt here came free from the second half of the bolt here. I had no idea what to do, so I had to come back to the shop. Gotta pull the bolt out. Came out in pieces. Get the front half out. So I got the second half out, and not knowing much about not being a gunsmith here, but you can see there's some threads on the inside of this, and then the nut here, and this is a very difficult piece to reassemble without some help. So I watched a few, I couldn't find anything on YouTube, that's why I'm making this. Read some forums, and people had made some jigs and done some other things. One talked about taking apart a ballpoint pen and using pieces of that, but I didn't have any luck doing that, so I wanted to share my experience. So I used a little simpler solution here, just a board, drilled a hole big enough here for the head of this to slide into, and then I spaced it apart so the collar here would rest on the wood, and then this is just a half-inch strap. The spacing here measured 5/8, so as far as a half-inch tube, pipe, I guess. And what I was able to do is slide this back in here, and then strap this on this way, putting the knob in here, and then this guy around here, the screw. So I'm going to go ahead and put that screw in. Here is the back half of the bolt hanging, kind of captive in here. Like I said, the bolt is sticking into the hole, and this collar is resting on here, so that's going to provide me a place to push against. Now what I need to do is compress this spring enough that this nut in here, that I can put this collar on, slide it up, and then start to turn this onto that nut. I made a little, just using a dowel rod that I had. I whittled on it so I could wedge this in here, and then and compress the spring down. A little handle so I could push on it a little easier. So I've got that here. Just gonna cram that in there as far as I can. It gets down in there a little bit. Alright, so a couple tricks here to avoid a busted knuckle or two. As you're pushing on this down in here with one hand, with your block up top, hopefully, the springs that you'll see down here exposed, you can use your other hand to kind of help pull those springs down, which will help to help get this pushed down further up here. You're going to be kind of fighting that nut. Okay, when you start to push the front half of the bolt on, there's a counter bore on this that you want to actually engage into here. You got to kind of float it back and forth, and that's where it can get kind of tricky. So one hand on here, kind of twisting it, and the other keeping downward pressure on that to push it. So as that's getting pushed, you're trying to thread this on here. At some point it'll start, and you just kind of wiggle this back and forth while moving this up and down, and get that to go hopefully as far as you can. So once you have it engaged mostly, then you can actually pull on this and expose that nut and some wood shavings. Expose that nut that's there, and then you can get your 5/16 little cute wrench, and then get in there and actually tighten that nut. So pull this down to expose that. You'll be bypassing the spring. All right, now I've got it pulled out of my little holder here. Now you might be tempted just to throw it back in, but you'll notice that this is actually, because this is all kind of loosey-goosey, because it hasn't engaged the firing pin here. So what I need to do is, by hand, I need to pull this this stopper here up here. Okay. So actually, you want to hold on here to this part, and then with the other hand, use your fingertips to pull back on the back of the bolt. And you want that collar to get up here. Now there's some tension on the spring, and should be able to slide it back in while holding the trigger. Hard to do one-handed here. There you go. And then you should be good. I should give a pre-disclaimer that if you have a round in there in your barrel because you're firing, make sure to try to get that out first before you start tinkering with this, obviously. But that should be it. And now you know a little bit more about your rifle.